You know, every Tuesday I think to myself, I don't gotta watch The Acolyte. I don't gotta do a video on it. But you folks sure love hearing me talk about The Acolyte. And here is where we do what Disney Lucasfilm does not do. Give the fans what they want. To be fair, if The Acolyte did something cool, I'd like to think in a video I'd say, that was cool. If they had a good episode, I'd like to think I'd go, hey, this is actually a good episode. However, that day is not exactly today, so let's put our livers to the test. I don't know that this is gonna make it till the finale. And this is a spoiler warning for The Acolyte Episode 4. If you haven't seen The Acolyte Episode 4, well, I'm gonna talk about it. As always, not gonna be a play-by-play of the entire thing, just gonna talk about a couple of things that caught my attention. This is definitely the episode where things are starting to come together in a way in which I start to have theories. None of them really make sense, and that's why they might actually happen. But as episode 3 was the flashback episode, episode 4 takes place after episode 2, and now fans of The Acolyte get to see what they've been waiting for. Wookiee Jedi, baby, fuck it! Well, not exactly. I will say I do like the reintroduction of a world where lightsabers are deadly again. So you gotta slash, that's the trick. Stabbings only work against steel doors and Qui-Gon Jinns. So after the events of episode 2, they're all back at PS2 cutscene Coruscant, labeled Coruscant because how else would we know that? Debriefing with the Jedi. One thing's for sure, that green Jedi lady just loves to give Master Saul shit. She's like, you didn't think to tell us she was alive? He's like, I didn't know. She fell down a pit. The fact that she respawned in front of that golden tree is a miracle worthy of a reveal at some point. And this show has really climatized me to the concept that every episode's gonna have a character moment or thing that's just gonna bother me. Probably purposefully done for the sake of perpetuating online conflict, thus free marketing, baby. But it's when Osha's talking to the Padawan, Daphne Keen's character, and she's all like, yeah, my sister's alive. Well, I'm taking off now. My sister's a Jedi problem, and I'm not a Jedi. Peace. Really, no sense of duty, obligation to your sister? Don't want to talk your sister off of her murderous revenge quest? You're right, it's just your sister's soul. Why would you give a shit? You know the thing I think about is when May set out on this quest, supposedly at the behest of this mysterious master person who was like, these Jedi need to die. Did she do any recon whatsoever? I would think an assassin would do some recon on who she's out to kill. When doing this recon, did she come across the information of who Master Saul's previous apprentice was and that it was her sister? I constantly run into the question of, who are these? What's the job of the Jedi? They're guardians of peace and freedom in the Old Republic, right? But every Jedi that's being hunted down just seems like they're hanging out in bars, hanging out in the air, hanging out in the woods. What is a job but a state of mind? Which, did he go AWOL? It looks like he was supposed to be at this post and they were like, oh, we haven't seen him. He took off in the woods though. Or did he leave his post? Is he even a Jedi anymore? Did he just leave the order? Is the order cool with that? Or they're like, yeah, well, you know, that happens. Good thing we brought this little tracking alien that can sniff out his trail for miles. We didn't know we were going in the woods today having to track somebody, but luckily that dude was here. With that mix of conveniences and hurdles, we have enough to squeeze out a 25-30 minute episode out of that premise. Good work, people. Interesting thing of note in this episode, it kind of shifts the revenge dynamic, at least the one motivated by revenge, from May to her enigmatic master. And although we knew about the masked dark side master, it looks like it's him who wants revenge. Doesn't want to do it himself or can't do it himself, needs her to do it, but not use a weapon. This all is apparently his plan, not hers. So it's heavily implied that this dude is the big baddie. It's so obvious in here, in fact, it can't actually be. I mean, this dude was giving her shit like, you're supposed to kill them without a weapon, but you still killed them your way. She should have been like, I killed them with the poison you gave me. Just being annoying. It's like, oh, hey, here's some poison. You should use that the next day. Why'd you use the poison? That was pretty stupid. Did you set me up? Starting to feel like a setup. So after May's friend has his ankle in a booby trap, she's like, you know what? I'm gonna turn myself into the Jedi. My loyalty is to my sister, not your boss. I was like, wait a minute. You're willing to face the consequences from the Jedi after murdering 2 of them? And earlier in this episode, your sister really didn't give 2 shits about you? I feel like you two should talk about that. Before you throw yourself to the Jedi gallows, I feel like you should be informed on the situation as to how much she really doesn't care. Didn't care to talk you out of your actions, save you from your dark path. Didn't even care to catch up with her sister she thought was dead for 16 years. No, just complete state of indifference. Is that going to be a reveal? Like Osha's actually a villain? Then she gets to the Wookiee's place and the Wookiee is already dead. Lightsaber slash across his chest. The baddie is already here. Who could it be? Definitely couldn't have been her friend who is on this planet but not in this scene. Just like your dad couldn't be Santa Claus, though it's a real bummer your dad missed it when Santa Claus showed up to your place because your dad was at the store just then. So the big baddie enters from the background. Very ominous. Ignites his red lightsaber, in which all the other Jedi ignite theirs, because, I mean, that's fair reaction. Well, that is, anyway. Sith have been extinct for a very long time. We'll say 900 years or so at this point. You see a red lightsaber you've probably only heard about in stories, read about in the archives. Then the Jedi act stupid. Might very well be a Sith Lord, you don't know. This is the master of the force-wielding assassin you've been chasing. Don't know how powerful this person is. Err on the side of caution. What do? They all have the patience of Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones and just charge the fuck in which, like Anakin Skywalker, they also get blasted. I mean, not with force lightning, force push. Still, a group of 6 Jedi or so, Master, Knights, Padawans, blasted back like it's the Force Unleashed or some shit. This can't just be some dark side wielding schlub. We gotta be talking about a Dark Lord of the Sith here, right? In which, if they are, they really broke Ki-Adi-Mundi. I mean, his character, that is. In their hit and run to take out the integrity of all the Jedi, Ki-Adi-Mundi is another victim. At first I was like, oh, another Ki-Adi-Mundi-ish looking character. No. Credits say that's actually Ki-Adi-Mundi. Anything about his age or species life cycle is in Legends. It's no longer canon. That's the argument, I guess. Because in Phantom Menace, the Jedi, including Ki-Adi-Mundi, believe the Sith to be extinct for a millennium. Because he said,
the Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
But even if we're not talking about Sith and the Acolyte, that's still worth bringing up in the room in Phantom Menace. Like, oh yes, Master Yoda, I don't know if you were on the council at that time, but 85 years ago or so, we did run into a dark side wielding duo. We kept it from the council. Jedi were more like politicians back then, am I right? I mean, we have a reputation to keep after all. Our old philosophy is a very new age philosophy. There are no villains, there are no heroes, there are only perspectives in the world of Star Wars. A world based off of the battle between good and evil. But when May's gonna go to the Jedi, basically her bargaining chip is, I'm gonna tell them what I know, and there's kind of this dead air in the scene. So I imagine it is dealing with the return of the Sith, which I don't know how they're gonna write around that. Like, everybody's gonna have to die in the woods next week. So it doesn't explain why in Phantom Menace, Ki-Adi-Mundi was like, a Sith Lord? Well, I never. I can only hope the rest of the council is as shocked as I am in hearing this news. My mind goes to Sith. However, judging by the grace and coordination Sith apprentices have carried themselves with in the past that we've seen, looking kind of unlikely. I'm just laughing on the inside because if that dude does turn out to be the big baddie in the mask, this whole thing is basically Undercover Boss with Star Wars. Like Matt the radar technician, only instead of an SNL sketch, it's something we're supposed to take seriously. Anyhow, that's episode 4 of The Acolyte. A romp through a forest. It looks an awful lot like a soundstage. All right, so The Acolyte, episode 4. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or what's more broken, the reputation of the Jedi from The Acolyte or Batman's spine in Nightfall? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.